So exciting day.
It is. Very exciting day. Very exciting day.
So for the next few minutes,
Oh,
I
wait a
will.
minute. I gotta change something.
Okay,
Right?
no
Because
problem.
because 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 I'm allowed to do this. Uh Here we go. No.
There
There
you
you
go.
go. Yay!
What?
I know, isn't that cool?
So for the next maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I will take control while you can do the technical side because I will interview a little bit of you. Um, je vais faire le message en français pour expliquer que je vais faire une entrevue avec Claude pour le lancement de son nouveau projet. Mais ne pas oublier, on n'a pas oublié les francophones parce que le travail est en train de se faire pour traduire le livre et aussi une formation qui accompagne ce livre-là, qui se trouve à être un élément. Tu sais, le livre peut être lu parce que je l'ai dans mes mains.
That's so cool.
J'ai eu la chance d'être un des premiers à pouvoir lire le livre. Aussitôt qu'il est envoyé chez l'éditeur, j'ai reçu une copie. Je l'ai lu du début à la fin sans dormir, j'ai tout fait. Et puis, même quand il est sorti, ici, j'ai été le chercher, puis j'étais comme un peu backstage. Tu sais. Alors, le reste de la conversation va être en anglais, mais n'oubliez pas qu'on va refaire la même chose en français.
Oui, puis ça va sortir le français, j'imagine, ça va sortir mi-mai.
Ah, aussi vite que ça?
Ouais.
Wow. D'accord.
Parce que j'ai reçu une nouvelle que la traductrice, j'avais commencé à essayer de le traduire moi-même, puis
C'est complexe.
Ça m'aurait pris 3 ans.
C'est complexe la traduction parce que surtout quand c'est nous qui l'avons écrit, ça ne marche pas.
Alors, j'ai décidé d'engager un professionnel et puis elle a fait un très bel job, mais j'attends le dernier manuscrit. Aussitôt que je le reçois, on va finaliser le format. On va envoyer ça au distributeur et puis à ce moment-là, on fera le lancement francophone.
Super. So, big day, the launch of this book, which I believe I had a little bit to do with, I think.
Big to do.
Let's go back a few years ago when I started speaking with you. When is it, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago? 5, I guess. It's so weird, like I approached you for something else and then we started talking and blah, you know. So we've been following each other's trail since then. So I've been following you with this and you've been following me with something which will be launched next week also with you. I'm just announcing you right now that you'll be doing something next week. Oops, you didn't know. And so I'm a few questions for you. And for the people at home, the questions will be put on the screen. So if you want to put up the first question, what inspired you to write this book?
Well, actually, we're going to go backwards because when we first reconnected for your program, Change Your Prescription, at that time, I was in a dead-end job that I hated. And hate, I underlined the word hate, but there's not a word big enough for how I was in the state of mind I was in. I was overweight. I was sick all the time, mentally drained, physically damaged. I had big projects, could not get anything done. I wasn't in the frame of mind that I needed to be. And we reconnected. I don't even remember how or what happened. I'm going to call it divine intervention.
Yeah.
And by doing your program, the Change Your Prescription program, I lost, I remember 26 pounds. And it's funny, but going through the program, because it's not just a nutrition program, it's a mindset, it's you're changing it's a really good name for it, because it really, that's what I did. I changed.
And even the program itself has changed.
Exactly. It
So you
evolved
kind of like,
something
we're the
else.
first iteration, and something's big's coming out now, and
Exactly. So I think at that time, that put me in the frame of mind to actually start doing it. And the book, I lost my brother Walter in 1996, in October of 1996. And I went through a very hard grieving period of a long time. It lasted like 18 years. So, and I remember that was another thing that happened with you was, you know, we were having a conversation one day, and I guess I kept talking about it, and you just said,
actually, it was on one of the anniversaries. It was on Halloween.
Right. And then you told me, when you're ready, you'll stop ton day, or you'll stop grieving when you decide that you've had enough. And I don't know why it absorbed in my brain at that time, but I said, yeah. So I think from that moment, I decided to write the book, because I always wanted to write a book about the experience, because for me, mental health, mental awareness, all that stuff, I think there's so much stigma attached to that. And I really wanted a book that comes from someone who everyone seems to come to and say, you got it all figured out. You look like you're on top of the world, and you're so successful, and you never have problems, and you're never stressed, and all of that's a bunch of BS. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to open up. I'm going to pull the curtain, and I'm going to let people know the real me, the real life I've had.
And they do. This book is...
I leave nothing to the imagination.
No,
it's all true. It's all real. It's all every single crazy stuff I went through. But the thing about it, though, is it's not. I know it's like tragic. It's one tragic thing after another. But the way that it's formatted, it's like a roller coaster. It's like sad, and then you're happy, then you're inspired, then you're motivated, then you're sad again, then you're. So it constantly kind of. At the end of the day, though, the inspiration behind it was I wanted people to stop looking at me like I was anything different than them. And that if I could do it using the tools that I put in the book and that I use myself, then they could overcome whatever they are facing, good or bad or harsh or easy. So that's the inspiration at the beginning was about Walter and writing about his experience, but then it evolved into something completely different, because I think it would have been a very negative book. So now I think it's more of a helpful tool instead of just a sob story about whatever.
So if I move to question 2, if you want to put it up on screen, can you tell me a bit about what the book is about? We've just skimmed it. Can you go deeper?
Yes. So the book is about, it's the way that it's written. It's almost like a diary type book. I take clumps, like really, I guess, the worst events in my life. I pulled them out of my life and into this book. And each chapter is an event, a part of my life. So, for example, when I look at Walter, there is a chapter about Walter's suicide. So I talk about the actual day and what happened and how I lived through it, and it's a very personal, very hard to read, I've been told.
Yeah, I had heard about it, but I hadn't. I lived it when I read it,
and it was traumatic. I will say that it was probably the most traumatic thing I've ever lived through. But then, at the way that I formatted the book is that you read through the tragedy and you're there with me. You feel everything, you see everything, then what I do is I make you step back, like I stepped back, and I put like a lessons learned.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like stepping back from the tragic event, and I sort of say, you know, like, well, this happened and that happened, and this is what I got from it. And after reflection, this is the lesson, or this is what I used to transcend it. And then at the end of the chapter, I tell you the tools, and I tell you exactly what I did to actually transcend that event and make it go from a powerless, you know, the funny thing is that the subtitle is Powerless to Powerful. And with every chapter, you kind of go that way. You go from powerless to powerful.
Yeah.
And every chapter is, so you have chapter about, you know, my relationships, you have chapters about my careers and sort of a Me Too kind of chapter. And then you have, you know, going through cancer. So, and my own attempts, my own experience with suicide. So it really delves in my childhood as well, because I mean, people, they have to understand how I got to being, or how I got to all those things. So I had to kind of put a chapter about the childhood and how I was raised and who I was raised with and how that affected my mental health, and how that kind of molded the events that happened later on.
If you want to pass to the next question, and it's a very good segue to that one. What did you learn from the experience of writing the book itself, like the whole experience itself, from having to do with an editor, having to do with distributors, the whole experience of the book itself?
Well, I had a fantastic editor, Debbie Viguet, who's a New York top seller. And she was instrumental in really pushing me, because I always want, this is a dream. This is on my bucket list, at the top of my bucket list, become an author. I've wanted to be an author my entire life. I have about 12 books in my head that are ready to be written. But I was always afraid, because people saw me as the singer, or, you know, I always had other conditions and other masks.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right? And author wasn't one of them. Author was my dream. Nobody kind of really saw me as an author. So when I decided to do it, it was very scary for me, because first of all, I was really being vulnerable. I was really opening up the door, because I didn't want to do a book like this without being completely vulnerable, completely authentic. You can't sugarcoat stuff, and
No.
you either do it or you don't. You know, you can't be halfway pregnant. You're either you are or you're not. So I found a great editor. She helped me through the process of self-publishing. And at the beginning, we wanted to go with big distributors and big publishers. But at the same time, what I realized and what I researched is that they take a lot of control from you. And this wasn't a book that I wanted anyone else than me to control. I had a very specific design that I wanted for the cover. And the cover was designed by a wonderful artist in India called Sail Bhutna. And he designed it's funny, because my husband, Steve, had the idea. He had a dream about the cover one night.
Oh, yeah?
And this is funny. This is weird, because we're sitting and we're watching TV, and he's telling, he had told me the day before about the dream, and he thought, you know, it'd be cool to have half the tree with no leaves and half the tree with the leaves, because you're going from powerless to powerful, which is, you know, the seasons. And anyways, he had a big story. And then we're sitting down watching TV, and we look up, and I see one of my grandmother on the furlong side was an artist. And she had I have a painting of her right next to my sofa that is exactly like the picture. So I must have been subliminally imprinted in it.
Wow.
It had to be. So then I contacted my friend, and he did that beautiful, beautiful design. So from doing that, and then the formatting, and then everything else, it kind of was a divine intervention. And I'll have to say that when I was writing it, it was weird because I think I had, and I don't know if I can say this properly, compartmentalized a lot of this stuff in my head and away. And I didn't really, how can I say this? I had never really relived everything. And there's a lot of the stuff that I talk about in the book that I've never talked to anyone about. Like when I say no one, I mean no one. So to relive it and be so raw about things was both scary as hell, but very cathartic. And the minute, like I remember, you know, writing the book and crying and just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm writing this. And I can't believe this happened. And I've forgotten about it. And then once the book was at my editor's, with my editor, and it was over, it was like the best therapy session I had ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. It was like, now that it's out of me, I feel weightless and I feel free.
Well, so that's when you sent it to me.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And you've been such an encouraging support system for me all through. Like I've had so many doubts, and I remember you telling me like, just go, just go, just go.
Yeah. Well, I think
too much.
I think it was, I'm learning on what's happening with me. It's because you and I were very similar for many things concerning projects and having so many things at the same time. And I think one of our faults is the fact that we want everything to be perfect before launching everything, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I had to curve that a lot.
So maybe the next question that I'm going to be asking, what surprised you the most in writing this book? Maybe it's a little bit of that inside the question. It's what
surprised me the most is that I was a lot more of an author or writer than I perceived. You know, like
the ease, like the ease of it.
Yeah, because I think I was born and raised and conditioned to hard work is not supposed to, or work in general is not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed, you know, it's like you got to grind.
Was that your prescription?
That was my prescription. That was definitely my prescription. And I always went for that. I always went for jobs that were really, really hard and tough, and I had to work hard and work through. And singing and writing music and writing in general, writing this book was so simple, was so easy, effortless, that it felt like I was a fraud in somehow, right? So I had to get out of that imposter mode that, who am I to be doing this, and who am I to be doing that? And, you know what I mean? So and of course, you know, some people are happy about this project and other people not so much. So I had a lot of pushback on releasing this, and because it's a very personal project, and I totally understand that. But I think when they realized that the reason why I wanted to do this, I think they let go of that, and I think everybody got on the same page. But the biggest surprise was that I was actually able to actually do it. that I am an author, and now with this and the release of this, I've now transitioned into writing and being an author, and now I feel like I can move forward and do another book. And so that was the biggest surprise, is that if I got out of my way, I was able to pretty much accomplish anything I've ever wanted.
So if we look at the next question, which is concerning the title, it's one of the things that surprised me when I first saw. I understood it right away when I saw the title, because you had a chance to show me the cover way before anybody else saw it. What does it mean to you, and why was this title chosen?
So, well, I mean, first of all, again, I do a lot of stuff with dream and meditation, and I let myself be guided by certain things. And one day I was just doodling, yes, and I just wrote it down, you know, suicide kills, a long time ago. Because if you look on my vision board that's actually in the book, this title is from 3 years ago. And it was a reflection that means to me is, yes, duh. Like a lot of people have, I'm getting a lot of comments now that it's out there. Stupid comments like, duh. And I think they don't get it until they get it. So the first thing you see is suicide kills, and you tell yourself, of course it does. But then if you step back and you start understanding that, of course it kills the person that commits suicide, but what they don't understand is the ripple effect. It's the killing of relationships, the killing of families, communities, dreams, lifestyles, you know, like futures. It kills a lot more than just the person. And I think that was the big thing, is suicide kills, yes. And then you have powerless to powerful. And what I'm explaining in that book is that because of my upbringing and the things that I've gone through that I talk about in the book, it caused me to have that want and that suicidal ideation for a very long time, until I, you know, committed. I tried to commit suicide. And then going through it with my brother, who actually committed suicide, I had a different, it's like almost I had, you know, the different sides of the coin, you know, the one side and then of wanting it, and the next side of living through someone I love doing it. So I think it was a perspective that I wanted to show people, and try to take away the mystification behind suicide, and how it affects not only that moment, but the ripple effect of a lifetime of having or carrying that burden of a loved one committing suicide. So that's kind of where it comes from. And of course, the visual that you see, again, goes with the powerless to powerful and the evolution of the mind.
So let's flip the story. Let's go from the vision of the author to more the vision of the teacher, because in this project you're both. You're an author because you wrote the book, but I think the book is more like a manual to learning something. It's kind of like a textbook. So what do you hope the reader will get out of the book itself?
Two things, two very specific things. And the fact that I have had a few people read it now and come back to me without me giving them direction, tell me that that's what they got out of it, makes me feel like I've accomplished what I set out to do. Okay. So the first thing that I want them to do is trust me. So by me being very vulnerable in my storytelling of my own experience, you can't help but feel empathy for that person and trust that the event is genuine and authentic. So they connect with me. So if someone's going through whatever event that they're going through, it creates a relationship. It creates a relatability. They can relate to the event that I'm talking about. That's the number one. And the number two is that with the lessons learned portion and the tools portion and the guidance, I hope that they do that. They do the work, because then if they do the work, they'll be able to accomplish great things and remove themselves from all that toxicity. So the whole point in the book is to help people to feel less lonely, less alone in their trauma and in their world, because that was a big thing for me, is feeling isolated. And also to be able to give them tools, because a lot of books like this are written and they're written without that part, and then you read it and you feel all inspired and motivated, but you don't know what to do with that because there's no guidance. So I wanted to make sure that there was that side of things so that people could actually take that motivation and start working on things.
So that's why I find that it's very well. First of all, we have to tell people that you and I are very we believe a lot on online learning. We believe that like what's happening right now with this COVID situation is not a surprise for us because we've been working like this online for years, and it's only a beginning. So
Yeah.
I knew that the capabilities of doing online courses and things like that were very, very open and very had a lot of possibilities. But I was floored when I saw what you did as the online course that accompanied this book. You remember my reaction? I was like, wow, the wow times 100, wow, wow. Because I had seen platforms, but didn't know that this was possible. It completely blew my mind. So tell me a little bit of why you decided to do like an online course part. It could have been like inside the book, it could have been.
Well, if you buy the book on its own,
yeah,
there's enough in there to start you, right? But I like workbooks. I'm a Miss Workbook. I love to have like.
Well, this is more than a workbook.
I know, but like I like companions to things because I'm very into working on myself, bettering myself. I'm always like, I'm never busy about other people. I don't really care. I'm not the kind of person that goes, oh, that person's this or that person. I'm more like, what can I do to be better with me? Because who I see in the mirror is the person I live with. So the more I can develop her and evolve her to be fantastic, the more I like being around her, the more I can create and do wonderful things. Yeah. So when I did the book, my editor said, that's such great stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then I said, yeah, but I want more. I want to be able to, first of all, I'm selfish. So I wanted to be able to connect with the reader personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why part of the online course, there's a discussion section that we can communicate.
It works quite well. We tried it out. It works well.
Yes, we did. So if the person reads a book, like I already have a person, I've already had a few people buy the book and they email me and they let me know that they loved it, blah, blah, blah. And that makes me feel like, incredibly incredible. But there's no connection. Whereas somebody can be on the course, doing the course and going through something and that they don't want to talk to anybody about, but all of a sudden I'm there and then they can talk to me and we can communicate. So now I've got like an instant connection, an instant rapport, communication with that person. I can help them, I can encourage them, I can support them. So it was a more personable, like a more personal approach. Yeah. And also I wanted to share things. I wanted to give them worksheets and I wanted to make them work. So I created a whole bunch of different things. I added some videos of the experience to encourage them. I added some songs. I added a little bit of creativity, but I wanted a multi-sensory experience for that person. So the people that actually go through the course, they'll get a copy of the book because it's inside the course, but they really get chapter after chapter after chapter of engagement and interactivity between them.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm like. I didn't really get a chance because you finished the course and you sent me the link and I went through the first part. And you're so surprised, like, don't send me something and not expect me to go right through. How long did it take me to actually get into the course? Like 5 seconds, So, but I'm excited to actually go through and reread the book with the chapters inside the course. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I even want to do it.
Well, I'm also
like, I wish I had that when I was going through stuff, because I would have saved years and years and years of digging and researching. So what you're getting with this book and with this course is that you're getting like 20 years of me digging and digging and digging and trying. And I'm only sharing the stuff that actually worked for me. I'm not sharing everything I know. I'm just sharing this equals results, because you and I are all about that. It's like, we don't like to waste time.
No.
And we want results like quickly. So I wanted to put things out there that would actually help people and really help them make a difference.
So I guess what we're talking about now will be the answer to the next question. What can we expect from the course that adds to the experience? It's exactly that. It's the fact that it's an add-on.
Yeah. It's an add-on to the book. It's not necessary. You don't have to.
No.
But if you're like me, if you're a person who is really serious about evolving and getting better and really bringing joy and success into your life and really, moving it up a notch, you're going to want to do the interactive course and go through it and take your time and really get down and dirty.
So why is it called interactive?
Because you're interacting with me, right? And you're interacting with all of the content that I'm giving you. And so that's the connection. You're just not left to yourself, because I added that feature inside the platform that connects you and I on a real level and real time. Yeah, you saw how quickly it went, right?
Yeah. Well, I was so surprised. I thought it was a pop-up or something. He said, no, I get like an email and it's right into my phone. And it's like, what?
Not only that, but if you're in the course and you're doing it, you'll see the replies as we're going through.
Okay.
So if you're having it's like Messenger. So if you got a, oh, did I do something?
No, go ahead. No, so it's the next question is fine. We're on the next question, but it's you can put it up if you want. The interactivity.
Got it.
Yeah.
So so if you're in a chapter, and you're doing something, and then you send me something, I get it right away on my phone. I get a notification. So right away I go and I see that you've asked a question or you've put a discussion. So I answer you right away. And then if you're there, you're still there in that discussion panel, you'll see. It's just going to pop up. So I think that's the interactivity that really is different from doing regular online courses, because regular online courses, you have to email the instructor and then they email you back. And so it's not that, that instant connection that I think will make a difference.
Tell me something. Wasn't there supposed to be like an album with this?
Yes. And I'm a little disappointed, but I didn't plan on having a pandemic while I was creating this. So the whole project, the whole idea behind this was, it was supposed to be, and it was still written this way, but the book had a certain amount of chapters. And I was developing an album that was going to go with the book, and each chapter would connect to a song that was specifically written for the book. That's been done. The album is written. The music is, we're developing it right now. But it was, writing a book is much simpler than producing an album. Producing an album, you have to connect to a producer. You have to connect with musicians. The musicians have to record all the musical layers of the music. The producer has to put it all together. Then it's sent to you. You go into the studio. You record your vocals. Then it's sent back to the producer. They mix it. Then we send it out and we master it. And then it's ready. So usually that can take a couple of months to do. Now, what happened was I decided to, I wanted this thing to be so new and so different that I went and I chose a producer, a pop, pop music from LA, Los Angeles. very gifted producer, fantastic music. And I had to rewrite the entire album because I was at first going to do a blues album. And then I thought, well, I want to reach younger people. So perhaps I can reach them through a more popular type music, you know, like The Weeknd, Billie Eilish, you know, that kind of groove. So I chose this producer, and we signed off in third week of March, and we started really going at it. And then all of a sudden, everybody goes into lockdown.
Especially in LA.
They got so bad up there that he couldn't get into a studio, and then he tried to do a makeshift studio, and it's been really, really, really tough. So instead of waiting for that to happen, because it became such a, like, it is going to happen, but it's so hard to define when the stuff will be lifted so that he can do his part and the musicians can do their part. And then I can't go and record into a studio because everything's closed and I don't have the equipment at home. So I just couldn't promise. So I hate putting people off. So I actually even took it out of the storefront that I had as a pre-order, because I just didn't want it. And I had a couple of people that had already purchased it, and I refunded them because I didn't want, I don't know when it's going to come out in that way. But when it does, I'm going to repackage and do like an official launch of that package or packaging. And that was supposed to be it, because you were supposed to listen to the song while you were reading the chapter and doing the work. And it was supposed to. But as I say in the book, you have to have a limitless mind, and you have to, you have to be a change ambassador and be willing to, change quickly, evolve quickly, and
change. What is that words in all my projects?
I know.
So, last question, which is the most important one. Where can we get this?
Where could we get this? So basically, you can get this, first of all, if you go on my website, so the KlaudeWalters.ca, / I think suicide kills or something like that. There's a if you go on my website and you click the banner at the top, it says purchase now or whatever, it'll take you exactly where to go. So you have the ebook right now on my website that you can purchase, which is it's a PDF kind of download that you can download. If you have a Kindle, then you can go to Amazon.ca, and again, through my website, there's all these connections that you can go. So you can get the ebook from Amazon. You can get paperback from Amazon as well. And you can also get the book from Barnes and Nobles, and you can get like the hardcover paperback, like a hardcover book. Now the course is also on my website, and then when you click to buy the course, you're going to go on another platform, which is the educational platform that the course is hosted on. And then again, you just click the banner and go through that, and you end up purchasing the course.
So so right now, today is like step one to the doors opening to marketing, because people who might not know, my nickname for Claude is the marketing maven. So
that's my second passion.
That's why she's so excited to have something come out from me next week, by the way. To help me promote it and to have it, because it's going to be a huge event. So,
absolutely.
So what's your heartfelt goal for the next few weeks, months?
Help people. I want people to read the book. I want feedback. So anyone who bought the book or who's going to buy the book, please want feedback because I want to know what I could have done or better, or what their experience was, or what they loved, what they didn't like. Same thing with the course, you know, like sometimes I'd love to know. I have no ego whatsoever. So to me, it's always about the project. It's always about making it better. So, right? So to me, it's like if people come back and say, you know, Claude, I bought the course, I was expecting this, or I wanted to see this, or I wanted to see that. For example.
Well, sorry to interrupt. That's what's fun about these platforms, that you can change.
Absolutely.
You can make it better.
It evolves and you can make it better. And I had a few people saying to me that they got drawn in by the title. But then they read the book, and on one side they were disappointed because it wasn't all about suicide. I think they were expecting this big, long sob story about suicide. And I'm not mocking it either. I'm not making fun of suicide. No. Believe me, I've once you read the book, you'll understand. But I am not a negative person. So even if I'm smiling, like you'll always see me smile. I'm not the downer type of personality. I went through cancer, and to me it was, I didn't even want to go to groups because I didn't want to stay there.
Yeah, you didn't want to associate with the image of.
No, and not because I don't want to associate with the people.
No.
I don't want my brain to connect the dots and say that I am a cancer survivor. No, I am Claude Furlong or Klaude Walters or whoever I am today.
It depends on what project.
Depends on what I'm doing, but I want to be a person, you know, a human being. I am, in my mind, I am a spiritual being that's come down to earth to experience, you know, the physicality of the world. So, and all of that encompasses, and to me, I'm not a person who dwells on things. I take every single thing that I live through as an experience, and I take a step back after I'm done, and I try to learn from it and evolve and move forward in a more positive way. So to me, to go to a group and repeat my story over and over and over again, I didn't feel like that was going to give me any help. I needed to move forward. So I learned a lot from the cancer journey, but then I moved forward. I learned a lot from like divorce, but I moved forward. I learned a lot from, you know, my brother's passing away. I moved forward. It took me a long time on that one. That one was hard. But again, life, you can't get stuck. And that's what I want people to get from this book and from this course. I want to de-stuck people. Wherever they are in their life, whatever they feel stuck in, I want to help them move forward. And if I can do that, that's the goal.
And to understand the keyword that I use in most of my trainings and most of the courses is decide. You yourself decide that now it's over.
Well, that was that epiphany that day. The day that you said that to me, we were like talking like this on Skype, I think, years and years and years ago. And I was, again, you know, I was probably talking about Walter and blubbering about it. And you just simply said to me, you know, when you're ready, decide to say stop, and then you'll stop. And I was actually angry at you in that moment because I was offended, because I thought, well, if it was so easy.
Can't be that easy. That's what you said. Yes, what you told me.
Yeah, can't be that easy. And when I got off, I said, well, yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. Enough. I'm done. Okay, I'm done. And I was done. And my life, it's like a switch went on, and I began my life.
You decided to change your life. You quit your job.
I quit my job. I decided to work from home. I decided to go full time. I decided to open up my agency, write a book, do this, do that, and it was
and you forgot that you lost